the sequence for the Sunday readings have been a bit out of sequence. In the reading cycle dedicated to the Gospel of Mark, we take a 5-week hiatus from Mark and we focus on the 6th and the beginning of the 7th chapter in John's Gospel. However, last Sunday we had we celebrated the Feast of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, and that kind of threw us a little bit. So I'm going to go back over some of the Gospel that would have been read last week, except for the feast day, to bring the two pieces together, okay? Last week's Gospel, Jesus said to the crowds, "I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Whoever eats this bread will live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh for the life of the world." Immediately after saying this narrative, the Jews started quarreling amongst themselves. How can a man give us his flesh to eat? I know that their mind was reeling with ideas of cannibalism and goodness only knows what other. And so Jesus, in this very pivotal moment of teaching, it seems like he went just a little bit too far. And so that's what we would have been spending the week thinking about, and that's Jesus's presence in the Eucharistic celebration. As we have said in the beginning, our 5 weeks was interrupted, and we spent some time with John. John wasn't read last week, so Jesus told us in the earlier part of those 5 weeks, this is 3-4 weeks ago, that when they wanted to know what to do to have eternal life, Jesus told them to have faith, to believe in the one who God the Father has sent, meaning himself. Okay, so now we have Jesus saying, "I am the bread of life, and I want you to feed off of me because my flesh is real food and my blood is real drink." And people are like, "Can't do this, can't do this." So I wanted to talk about a little bit about my faith formation and how it intersects with this particular gospel and the one for this week. And I'll get to that part. I wasn't raised in a Christian tradition. Actually, I was not raised in any tradition. My parents thought we could figure it out on our own. And when I was 13, I decided I wanted to become Catholic. I was told that I would need to meet with the priest for a few weeks, every Wednesday afternoon, as a matter of fact, after school, in order to prepare for baptism. This was before the rites of Christian initiation were fully implemented. So I just got to hang out with the priest for an hour each week for about 4 weeks, I think. And I asked the question about what it is that we really do at Mass. I was 13. And so the priest sent me to read the Gospel of John, where Jesus says his body is the real food and his blood is the real drink. And when I came back to the priest the next week, I was full of questions. And eventually he decided that it might be a good idea if he just said it was a mystery. And to me at 13, that was a cop-out. But I decided to be baptized anyway because I believe that Jesus really was present at Mass. The presence of God, the divine, anywhere and everywhere was fine with me. So I decided that that might be a better choice, just to go ahead and get baptized and figure that part about Jesus's body and blood later. And that's what happened. You know, as I went through life, I continued to ask the questions. I continued to be curious about a lot of things. And I think that what has really helped me is all the new science that has come out. You know, back in Jesus's day, they didn't have anything but the body and what was around them that they could touch. It was concrete, it was real. Anything that was more than that was really a total gift. As science has come these days, we are beginning to understand how in astrophysics and medical sciences and quantum physics and physical physics that things are not always the way that we think they are, and that things could be different, that energy actually has a place where it doesn't have a material constant in it. So as I've been pondering that, at 13, mystery was a cop-out. But as I read through the Gospels again, I realized that believing in the real presence of Jesus in the bread and wine that we have at Mass, I believe, I have faith. I know somewhere in the depths of my soul that I can participate in that because somehow God is more than what we can see. To me, though, the real mystery was how the Gospels survived. They were written in a time, well, they were preached by Jesus, first of all, in a time that was extremely violent. They were an oppressed people. And for some reason that Jesus was able to gather people to follow him, to teach them a way to live nonviolently, to live according to the love of Christ in their everyday lives. To me, that's a mystery. And so Jesus is the gift. He is the one who embodied all that God has to share with us. He conquered everything. Our ideas about power, our ideas about wealth, our ideas about death. He conquered everything. And for the disciples to be able to, after Jesus had been crucified and had been raised from the dead, for them to consistently preach a gospel of love, the good news of God's love for us, that to me is a mystery. And I feel like in the second part of this particular reading, the fifth Sunday, which is, it's the 21st Sunday of Ordinary Time, but the fifth Sunday of the 5 readings that we would have gotten from John. The last one is where people walk away from him, and he turns around and he says to the 12, "Do you want to leave me too?" And Simon Peter says, "To whom shall we go, Lord? You have the words of everlasting life." And I feel like when I was 13 years old, that accepting that Jesus is really present wasn't that hard, but it's gotten easier as I've learned so much more. But realizing that Jesus is the one who has the word of everlasting life. Jesus embodies that word, not only 2,000 years ago, but today. Then the idea that it's a mystery is no longer a cop-out to me. The fact that it's a mystery feels like an invitation. And every time I feel that living the gospel is too hard, and I readily admit I failed a lot, but every time that I feel like living the gospel, the path of Jesus, the way of Jesus is too hard, I hear Jesus in the back of my mind, "Do you want to leave me too?" And my only response can be with Peter and say, "To whom shall I go? You have the words of everlasting life."